are supporting youth in order to be more involved in all related sustainable development processes. I don't know if you are hearing me. Okay, so yes.
This is noisy room.
Okay, so in Tunisia, the country where we are planning to implement some youth activities, we have some challenges. We are facing immigration pressure, unemployment, high unemployment, and water scarcity. So to deal with this, we started with national analysis on youth employment. In relation to water sector. Why? So we identify actions, and these actions will aim to reduce migration through the promotion of jobs in relation to water. So how we can reduce migration by promoting jobs in water, sorry. And so we are also planning to do other activities like we will promote green jobs in relation to water, and we will organize exchange for youth. We will help them to integrate companies in other countries, for example, to companies that dealing with activities they wish to invest in. And we are also planning to organize exchange workshop between youth in order to promote joint activities, and we will assist them to identify an action plan with activities that will be implemented by youth, and we will assist them to implement these activities. We will also work on capacitate knowledge of youth on integrated water resource management and coastal zone management. I think this is all for
Well, thank you. Ankur, you will be presenting a project as well.
I'm Ankur, I'm based in India. I'm from India, as you can see. So to give a brief context, the youth demographics in India are extremely amazing. Approximately 65% of our population is under the age of 35. To put that into numbers, it's around 700 million young people or so, just in India. And of course, like, we have a lot of gaps between education, between private sector and the public sector. So my project idea is based around WASH, but with a different angle attached to it. So in public schools, generally, there is a lack of facilities available for girls and boys alike. And what my project focuses is on hand washing. But not just with traditional like water sources and piping, but with a different disinfectant sanitizer that one of our local partners has developed. It's extremely cheap. It doesn't use a lot of water resources in its making, and like if the idea would be to encourage youth and the community to use these sanitizers as often as possible as they could, so that possible like outbreaks of diseases and could be avoided, and the education level and enrollments can be maintained. That is my short pitch, very brief and concise. And of course, I'm looking for partners who can help us to implement this project and mobilize the communities, and of course, like, support us with some technical knowledge, and a little bit of financial help would go along with it.
Okay, all right. Moving on.
Hi, I'm Yasmin from Karlsruhe, from the Institute for Technology Assessment and System Analysis. And what I'm researching on is how to transform the urban water energy infrastructures, but in the existing building stock, because everybody says that's too complicated and we only can do that with new buildings. But in Germany, there are 18 million existing buildings, so there's huge potential to really tackle this area too. And I'm trying to show a transformational path, how to really do that. And because I'm designing the future, not real, okay, my future maybe, but really the future of the generation under me. So I'm trying to include students as scientists in my research too, so they can get active as their own scientists to design their own future. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alexa. I'm with the Youth Water Community Central and Eastern Europe, and we just formed 2 months ago. We saw a need that in Central and Eastern Europe, actually this is, so people might think of Central Europe as like more Germany, but actually the center of Europe is Slovakia. So, fun fact. So we saw a need that currently these countries over there, they're kind of forgotten. They're Europe, so they're developed, they don't have as many need for projects as you see in Africa, where there's a big push right now for all these youth-led projects and other projects. So we saw this need to form a community, and our pilot project we came up with at the summer school led by UWP Central and Eastern Europe is called Fish Me Ishmi. It's the Ishmi River in Albania, and actually in this river they had a death occur because this guy went and swam in there and there was too much plastic pollution that he couldn't get out. He suffocated underwater because he couldn't reach the top of the air. So we decided that we needed to educate the youth there, use schools and universities and get youth engaged in Albania, so locally. And then we would use them and we would create an event once a year where everyone gets involved, everyone goes and cleans up the river, and this can be sustained by the youth through each generation. And this will also help educate the local people in Albania about, if they just throw a plastic water bottle, that ends up somewhere, that has some effect. So this is our pilot project, and we are really excited because we want to raise more awareness in this part of the world right now. So yeah, I hope. Our mission is empower youth, advocate, so advocate that youth become more part of the policy and government, and also act, so act with youth-led projects. And then we plan to do this together. So thank you.
All right, thank you for that. So we're going to move on to the supporter side. I'm going to go like this, if it's okay with you. So we're going to start with you.
Yeah, so now from EDF in France. So EDF is Électricité de France, so an energy company. So why we are here in Stockholm at the World Water Forum every 3 years, it's because we need water to produce energy, except for solar and for wind, but solar and wind represent only a few percent of our generation facilities. So for hydropower, for nuclear power plants and so on, we need a lot of water. So it's really important to take care of about water. So it's why I'm here. And within EDF, I'm working in the Sustainable Development Division, the corporate level, and I'm in charge of water, energy and climate change issues. So for instance, we work on the water footprint of the energy generation for the different sectors, from the coal sector, from the nuclear sector and so on, in order to try to really manage the use of the water, not only the withdrawal, but also the consumption, the water quality, water quantity and so on. So we are working on this kind of topic in my division.
All right. Good.
Well, nice to meet you. My name is Frederick. I work for the Global Water Partnership and the World Meteorological Organization on technical support on drought and flood management. We're very keen to work together with youth. We started together with the Water Youth Network a competition earlier this year to see what is the potential out there from youth-based organization on disaster risk reduction with a focus on flood and drought management. And we were blown away by the responses that we got. There were close to 100 submissions, and out of that we selected in a joint effort with youth the 2 projects which we thought, well, those are the ones that we can support. The support that we offer is technical support. We work with a broad range of partners, so we are a 70 expert international organization. And there's one way of connecting them with expertise that is there in these organizations, and then there's providing advice based on the technical guidance that we have produced on flood and drought management, and trying to support youth projects to realize their full potential, which we believe is enormous and which we believe will drive innovation and change going forward in the future. So I'm very looking forward on where you see an angle possibly related to climate change adaptation, disaster risk reduction within your projects, and how we may support you through the technical capabilities that we may be able to offer, to discuss project ideas, to think through some of the doubts that you might encounter when you're scoping the project, when you're planning the project, and finally when you're implementing and monitoring how the project is going. And we offer that as a service, which we call Help Desk on flood and drought management.
Perfect.
Okay, so my name is Andreas. I'm working with the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, STC. In there, I'm working for the global program Water. So we're a traditional donor organization, government organization. But with these global programs, which there is not only water, there is water, health, climate change, migration, food security. And with these programs, we're trying to go new roads and overcome some obstacles that traditional development cooperation was facing. So there's a lot of innovation involved, and we have a new strategy since 2017 to 2020. And for the first time now, we have dedicated a concrete objective on youth and gender, and that means that we really want to empower youth to become agents of change and really to include them in processes, in policy processes, decision-making processes, but also implementing projects. So there is also the idea to support youth-led initiatives with small contributions, and so I'm happy to be here, and it's exciting to hear. In fact, all your projects they would basically fit in our framework, in our strategy in terms of content and how you approach things. So that's exciting.
Alright, and then you just introduce yourself and what you do.
I'm Konstantina Tolli. I'm from the Global Water Partnership Mediterranean, and I've been working for almost 9 years now in cooperation with the Coca-Cola Foundation, projects related to small infrastructure demo projects. So we have the experience of what it is like to cooperate with the private sector, what their demands are, how different these are, or how these can be matched with the demands of the market, of the water world, and of course, for them also for the consumers.
Right. Alright. So now we're going to move on to the second part of our little game. I am going to start once again with our young professionals. I'm going to ask them a question, they're going to answer quickly, then I'm going to ask you another question, and so on, okay? So, we will start like this once again. So the question is, what are you looking for in your business soulmate? In your business soulmate, your dream supporter. So what kind of qualities or what kind of values or what kind of, what...
From donors, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, I think that certainly we need them to fund our project, but also it's important if they can support us during all the implementation of project actions, also the monitoring and the more important, the following the project follow-up.
Alright. Okay, Ankur.
I look for somebody who believes in the potential of youth and who is dedicated in a way like walk the talk kind of thing. And of course, and if somebody can help us with sorting out the technical aspects of project proposals and all those nitty-gritties of things. And we have a partnership for the future forever.
I also look for someone someone believing in my vision and believing in my capability despite being young. And also someone who can tell me, well, this is still not working honestly and harshly, and we still get along as partners after that.
So our soulmate and a partner, first of all, they would help us advocate at the local and national level on our projects. So currently our project is in Albania. So I mean, it doesn't have to be someone within Albania, but someone who has experience and can help empower the youth there. The second thing we would like in our soulmate is some experience with project implementation, the technical aspects, how to really engage everyone in this project, how to manage it, and how to get the youth involved. And of course, the third thing that most people look for in a partner is material and financial support. That's a joke. So yeah, we need some materials, we need some help supporting the education programs and other general costs, and yeah, that's our perfect partner.
Alright, so for the supporters, your question is, what would you value the most in a youth project? So what would make a youth project stand out, maybe, because there's still a lot of them, but so we're gonna start like this once again. Sorry, you're first.
For me, the simplicity and the reproducibility of the project. It means that if we can scale up the idea and to develop and to scale up at a large scale, I think it's very important for us. And for me personally, for my company, we are looking for projects that are really closely linked to energy sector. So if we can find projects where it's talking about water, energy, and food, for instance, it's good, but at least we need to have energy components in our project.
All right, that's good.
Okay, 3 points: well connected and really driven to learn and to bring something to the table. And then very important for us is transparency. That there's transparency about the challenges, there's transparency of where there is additional capacity needed, and there's transparency on where things stand and how things can develop. And that's an important part of being able to support effectively.
Well, firstly, please let me state that I truly believe in potential. I believe in potential more than I believe in experience. So what I want to see first is someone who is inspiring, someone who is fresh and is dedicated to make something and to make a change and to make things happen. So this is my first criterion. So if I see a proposal, I want to see something fresh, something inspiring, and people dedicated behind it. If you just have an idea and you haven't taken the time, to make it a clear one, to be able to show that it is a feasible one. And feasibility is always critical, especially when it comes to projects, because the donor or a business partner would never want to have something, would never invest in something that is not feasible. It's not feasible, or in many cases not even tangible. So make sure that you have some really good, fresh ideas. You put them together in a very clear way, and then seek the support of your mentors or of other people that might be experts that will be willing to support you in building project proposals. And then, of course, make sure that you really work consistently. Nobody wants to have a project that is not being delivered. No donor, at the end of the day, we all report back to donors. Or if you consider me a donor of the private sector, then yes, I want to see results and I want to communicate results. And I know, you're youth, so you're all about social media, you're all about communication. So let's spread the message out there. Make concrete proposals, tangible proposals, feasible proposals, and then, really commit yourselves to deliver.
That was a very good input, so thanks for that. For us, I think what we're looking for is two things. So we want to benefit from the disruptive potential of youth. We need you to challenge us to do things differently. The second thing that comes in line with that is the potential to include as many actors as possible in your projects and to build partnerships and really networks on different levels, and I think that's a key aspect for us as well.
Alright, so what I'm going to suggest now is that you can each ask a question to each other. Try to keep it, open. There's 4 on each side, so it's you all have interesting projects and you're all interesting supporters. So try to address one to each, and it can be on. It can be on how they can assist you, what their vision could be for your project, or a more technical question on something that you're doing. So we're gonna start with you again as we.
Who has the question? Just them? Or can we also
No,
ask?
you will ask the question as well after.
Okay.
It's we're going both ways.
But we have only one question to one of them.
Yeah, because otherwise we're gonna be here in the 3 hours. So.
Only one of them, because I have a question for all donors, not only.
Well then, the first one who answers win.
Okay, so for you as donor, what is the most important? Because I know that each country have its priorities, and also each donor have its priorities, and sometimes priorities are not matching together. So what is more important for you as donor? Will you finance my project even if this project is not matching with your priorities?
Well, I mean, not for funding, but for technical support that we offer, yes, we would still offer technical support, but we probably limit it, and we probably try to guide you to another technical partner whose interest and focus is on what you're doing. So from the technical perspective, yes, we would take it on for the help desk function that we offer, but we would farm it out to our partner who has the priority that might more closely match to in comparison to where we might not be matching with you.
All right. I feel like you want to add something.
Can I add something? It's just, in principle, I would say yes, we would be ready to do that, because, as I said, we have this objective on youth, and this allows us to channel some funds into that, and explicitly we want to fund some youth-led initiatives. And then, of course, it's obvious that a youth-led initiative is rather on a small local scale. You cannot expect to have it a national program, to be the national program. So, in that sense, for us it will fit anyway. Yeah.
Thank you for this.
He already touched up on my question actually, because my question was about upscaling. And for example, like small projects here and there have shown great successes, and so now like if I as a youth want to approach one of you guys and say like, oh, I want to take this in my state and in my country, like what should be my approach, or how can I do that? Like?
You mentioned upscaling.
Yes, I mentioned it. And for instance, we have a project in Africa for rural electrification. In fact, we developed with a US-based startup company solar kit panel in order to provide enough energy to charge mobile phones and so on for the community, and to have the necessary light for the house. And so we sell this kit with lights, with bag, with panel, and this is a kit, and we provide also means of smooth financing for the people in order they can pay to really have a business model. And so we started 1 or 2 years ago, and we started, and now we have sell 100,000 kits, and the idea is to sell 2 million kits. So the idea is really to have not disruptive idea, but feasible, simple, and scalable up, in order to be sure that we can yes, we can build a sustainable business model even in a poor area like we did in Africa. And what is important is we tried it in one country in Africa, but if it works well, we will try to do it in other countries. And to come back to your question, in fact, it is linked to our strategy to be present in some countries in Africa. So in some countries we develop a hydropower plant, in other countries we work, for instance, with South Africa generation companies in nuclear power plant and for rural electrification in other countries. So depending on our strategy. But for instance, we will not do it in Middle East, for instance, because the target is Africa.
Did it start as an open call process, or was it more of a bilateral discussion with your partners and organizations?
It was it was a good opportunity at the right time, and we found a startup in US which was specialized in this field. So because we can develop our own kit. But we decided to work with other partners because the idea was sufficiently mature in order to be converted in a business model which can work.
All right, next question.
Mine's quite specific to you. Can you provide expertise on urban stormwater management for developed countries? And what would you expect in return for this expertise from your project partner?
Yes, we do have expertise on what we call integrated urban flood management, which would include aspects that you provide. And what we would expect in return is, first, at the first stage, there's nothing. It's a service that we offer as a public good, and we've developed expertise, and we see it as our mission to connect it to expertise. But what we could see in a second step is possibly developing a joint proposal to scale it up and to work on it as a joint effort and try to get funding opportunities together realized.
Okay, so my question, I guess, is to everyone or anyone who wants to answer. What can we do to get more projects funded in Eastern Europe, in Central and Eastern Europe? Because right now so many funds are going to other parts of the world, Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia. But still in Eastern Europe, things are lagging behind in the economics. In Macedonia, for instance, they don't even have a wastewater treatment plant in their second largest city. People still aren't educated about littering. People just throw their garbage out. So there's still a need in Europe, within Europe, to get projects funded and more education. And I want to know what can convince donors to invest in Central and Eastern Europe.
Take this because this is our geography within GWP Med. So first of all, you have to come up with proposals, and it doesn't have, usually it could be a call for proposals that would be targeting the specific areas, and we had a call for proposals like a couple of months ago for youth proposals. But then you can also approach us at any time, because there is a time, that we have a big call that could be a $1 million call or multi-million dollar call, and we would really love to have some ready-made proposals there, so that we can just integrate them in the big proposal, and then when the time comes we have no proposals, and then we have youth saying that we would like to have some projects, but they do not really approach us, and then when we have the opportunity we don't have the proposals in hand so that we can submit them. So what I would suggest is that you would connect with the organizations in the region, definitely with GWP Med, because we are covering Eastern Europe. So you can connect with us. We have a number of big projects running right now, and we do have some youth-led activities, or we envisage some youth-led activities, but we have no proposals yet. So please join us, please contact us, and let's see, what you can do. But as I said, make sure that you propose something that is tangible, feasible, and then, once you prove your case, then you can scale it up. But first you have to prove your case, and you have to prove your your ability to deliver.
Can I add a little bit? I'm sorry, I didn't reply to any questions, so I'm just coming.
Please.
I think one thing is, you as youth, you need to make noise. And, you need to organize yourself. You need to build coalitions in your communities and talk to your local decision makers, national decision makers, make them aware, and talk to the private sector in your countries, because there is also funds available. Because there is a lot of also responsibility of each government of each country to look that there is a wastewater treatment plant. It's not, donors cannot solve all the problems. The countries have a main responsibility to do that. So this is one key aspect you can do, so is to make noise and advocate for change.
Alright, so now if you have questions for young professionals, either on their project or their vision, or something that I know that some of you sometimes might not be approached so much by young professionals with projects, so now is your time to know more about it. So we're gonna once again start like this.
Just
It's a tough question.
yeah.
For me, how I see myself as 10 years later, I don't see myself as an expert, like water expert, so to say. But I do see myself trying to do some concrete activities that the communities can benefit from. On how, that is not to say that I don't need support of experts. Of course I need support of experts, I need support of all of you guys. And I don't know, if you talk to me 10 years later, hopefully I would be a successful project manager at least, who has managed to implement my project and upscale it to different parts of the country. And I don't know, that's all.
My question is mainly related, to the potential of the water sector, for jobs. It's not only it's green jobs, and then it's the water jobs that we're interested in, and then the jobs through the nexus approach. Because we don't believe only in water, we believe in the nexus approach. So we have to make all these connections with energy, with food, with ecosystems, with everything. Now we have a nexus about everything. So where do you see yourself there? Where do you see the potential? What should we be working towards?
I can reply. So my background is environmental science and currently hydrogeology, so I have a lot of science background, but I've also worked at my local government and I've gotten some policy background, and I really see the need in the future to bring science, to bring policy, to bring private sector all together. And I see myself in a role influencing policy, not necessarily as a politician, but I want to bring my scientific knowledge, I want to bring other people's knowledge to the forefront in policy, and I also want there to be no more oh, you're private sector, oh, you're the environmental sector, this kind of negative tension. I would like to see everyone working together in the future, and I hope I can play a role in this and influence this, and just be positive,
What you mentioned is actually quite a big problem or challenge, I think, because, for example, I'm doing research on Nexus, on water energy Nexus transformations, and there's no job really for that yet, because I'm doing interdisciplinary research, I'm considering education, the user side, but also the technology. So I will be a combined expert when I'm done. And there's not really a job description saying combined expert.
Look, Reese, we just announced a couple of positions with GW.
Okay.
We are looking for Nexus experts.
Okay.
See? We have already created a market for you.
I mean, that's the beauty now, is that it's changing. Everything is changing now. The way the systems work are changing. So right now we are at the best position because we're young and we have new visions, and we can totally change how the world is working. And so there's no longer going to need to be, oh, I'm an engineer. It can be, I'm an engineer, but I also know policy. I also integrate myself.
It's my dream.
Yeah.
If I could find one, I would just hire them, today.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, I would have one. It goes back to the concrete project. So I would be interested from any one of you, what do you think within your project is kind of the most innovative thing and transformative thing? So,
Should I start?
Yes.
So, for me or for us, I think it would be like saving water via a different kind of activity and like hand washing water especially. And the second one would be the potential to create a business, sustainable business that you can manage, because the sanitation, like the sanitizer manufacturing, the community development and all the awareness raising programs, so there is a huge potential for creating jobs. I think these two would be like the two most innovative aspects, at least from what I think.
So in my case, it would be really tackling the building stock, because everybody says it's just too complicated, and there are not many other brave ones who really say, well, we still can do it. And it's also to create necessity in countries that maybe don't have an urgent need for water, that have enough water, and to create a linkage there to climate and energy, and really create a necessity despite having enough water.
For Tunisia, where I live, we have many initiatives for migration, but the innovation for us would be to prevent migration through promoting jobs in water and sanitation sector. This is an innovation now in Tunisia.
Yes, thank you, Frédéric. Now I have a question. About the plastic waste. The problem is for everybody everywhere. It's not only for Central East Asia or East Europe. So do you have been in touch with Hélène MacArthur Foundation or the Moore Foundation? Because I know they have some budget to work on the plastic in the oceans. They have some programs. The WBCSD is working on this program with them. So maybe it could be interesting for you to try to contact them, because I think they can help you, and especially if you have a concrete example to provide to them, I think it could be useful.
And then we can take our pilot program and once we get that running,
because
bring that to other rivers in our communities.
A huge problem and part of the ocean governance and ocean issues.
Yes. So first of all, it starts with education, so preventing.
Yeah, but you have two big international foundations which are funding this kind of project, so you can try.
All right. So now we come to our final part of this lovely game, where you will declare your love for one another. It might not be perfect, it might not match perfectly or at all. You never know. It doesn't mean your project or your organizations are not interesting. Sometimes it's just a combination of what we have in front of us. But it's just going to be. I give you two options. Either you each say who you might have an interest for, or you can just all point fingers, but that's a bit weird. So. We can start with young professionals. If you were to, show interest for one of those organizations to work with, who would it be?
All of you, but mostly two of you.
Where the money
Because I understood that they are more or less flexible, and they are really encouraging youth, and for Constantina because she's really supportive for youth.
All right. Ankor.
Can I point fingers everywhere? Is it allowed? No, but I think like we can use the partnerships and everybody. I mean, there is no, oh, I prefer this or I prefer. Yeah. So for me, it's a match everywhere. Now it's up to them, and does it?
All right. Okay, that would be those two. You, because I really love your passion, because that matches my passion and energy level. And I also love that you support interdisciplinary researchers like myself. And you, because I really also like your spirit and how you said the project could start and then be developed, and your expertise is also very useful for me.
So I'd start with you because you were really just describing disruption in the youth and how we need to raise our voice. I really agree with that. I really agree with your passion and your want for youth to get motivated and propose things. And also I appreciate that you want the technical aspect, you want to support us with the project management. And for you, I liked that you wanted to upscale things. So really, I don't think we can be monogamous in our relationships. I think it can be a polygamous relationship here.
All right, and then our lovely supporters, do they have any sparkle in their eyes for specific projects?
Well, for me, I think it's an interesting way of exchanging with youth and people and to try to match with people. Unfortunately for me, no project are linking to energy sector, so it's far from my... but we are working also on plastic waste. Your project is not so far from us, but EDF will not finance a project in Central Europe, Asia for plastics, because I try to find some money in my company to work with the WBCSD in the plastic ocean projects.
We are related to energy, though. Youth-powered energy.
So yeah.
All right.
Good. Well, I can see potential with all of you. I can see potential in an arid environment, really thinking through how jobs can be created, how can be a nectar of change, and also trying to adapt to some of the challenges that are there. I think for the water and sanitation hygiene project, I always think we need to think upstream. We need to think about how we can ensure that safe water arrives, that we manage the water well that comes out of it. With you, I think the Nexus approach, the urban flood management approach, there are many connections that we could explore, and that'd be very good. And with you, I think in Central and Eastern Europe, there's so much going on. We have a regional program for drought management in Central and Eastern Europe that I think has a lot of potential to connect and to work with you on these ideas on bringing youth as agents of change in there.
Well, I'm very happy to say that I would be glad to work with any of you or with all of you, hopefully. Alexa, you're in our geographical scope, and I really like your way of putting things together. So please submit your proposals or get in touch with us. Jasmine, I saw yesterday your presentation also on Durban, so I think you're really close to some other agendas that we've been working on, and of course the Nexus approach, which is the new black in the market. And yes, there is a market and there's a huge demand, so please keep working on there and just keep in close contact with the realities, because too much science does not really bring you very close to policy. Actually, sometimes it drives you apart. Ankur, I would love to expand our collaboration also in India. You've proven your potential, and that's the way to go about it. So we need the people, the passionate people who are not only the water experts, but are people like us. We're the program officers, we're the project managers, and we are the ones that catalyze action at local level. Miriam, I really hope that the new agenda of water, of jobs and migration is the new drive and passion for you, and I really hope we can take this further, especially for our region that is being significantly and severely impacted by migration, and there's so much potential to work and create jobs in the countries there. So I would really love to welcome you all. Thank you.
So I'm going to be more concrete, focusing on one person. But as I mentioned before, I mean, in terms of our strategic orientation, all of your projects will fit in. So I'm quite interested to receive also your proposals and see what we can do. Just there's no concrete answer now, but there is potential in all of them. Personally, I like your proposal a lot because I've been involved in hygiene behavior change on hand washing a lot in recent years, and we have achieved so many fantastic results with reduction of diarrhea and really improved health of communities. And I think it's one aspect that gets a bit lost now because everybody is focusing on other emerging topics, but the job is not done in WASH really. So I would go for that one. That's more my email. So that's a personal match.
All right. So still it's a match. It's a match. It's a global match. Everyone likes each other. Well, thank you for playing this game. It was a representation of what YWC will be kind of offering on their web platform. So we encourage you guys to submit your proposals once the website will be available. And we encourage all of you to sign up also on our website and create a supporter profile offering, even if it's just expertise mentorship. This is still important, and this is guidance that will help develop nice projects. And once again, the water-related field is so broad that everyone can find the perfect slippers. Thank you.